Millennials are in line to inherit $30 trillion over the next 20 years, and the primary issue isn't how to manage that money, it's how to access it. Lost passwords, access codes, and email accounts made inaccessible when someone dies are all obstacles that can delay the process of acquiring inheritance. Here with more on how to solve this digital divide between families and their money is Lori Kami, Managing Director of Hightower's LCK Wealth Management. Lori, thanks so much for being with us. I guess there's a little bit of an irony between the digital divide between the non-digital generation and the very tech-savvy generation going on here, right?
I would agree with you on that. Totally.
So what happens when someone dies to their email account? Does AOL and Yahoo, do they automatically shut it down? What happens?
Well, it's a very interesting question because we weren't sure, and we've had, unfortunately, clients die from age 48 to 92 in the last year because it's the circle of life. And so we did some digging in our IT department, and that long terms of service agreement that you see has all of that in there. So each provider has their own rules, and they base it on inactivity.
Wow, very interesting. So if you're not using your account for a certain amount of time, it could get shut down regardless of whether you're alive or not. So what are the legal obligations then of a mortgage company and of a bank? Let's say if your parents pass away, can you go to the bank and say, look, I need all of my parents' passwords and information? Are they legally obligated to give it to you?
Well, you know, I'm not an estate attorney, but we work with them all of the time. And what we try to do is not get to that point. So we meet the millennials or the younger generation or the adult children of our clients, because we still have some greatest generation grandparents with us. And we have them talk to each other and have money discussions, whether it's in our office or at their home or during a family holiday. So the 2 or 3 things that I see happening now to try to initially prevent that is, first of all, with your attorney, you can have a letter of what are your passwords, where are your accounts, and you may share that with a loved one.
It might take a little organizing. Our own producer, J.R. Whalen, said he had to scurry around his parents' house looking for passwords written on note cards recently. So your parents might not even have them all in one place.
That's the biggest problem. That is the biggest problem. But what we're finding now is that people are getting used to the Androids and their iPhones and their iPads, and even the adults are having their millennial children help them with that. So in my case, my father passed away in December, and having had so many issues with the lost and found with other clients, that, believe it or not, every state has a lost and found for assets. He and I sat down 2 or 3 years ago when he was perfectly healthy and well, and we decided that all of his passwords would not be the same, but be a derivative of each other, right? And all of his logins would be one of 2.
Right. So you sat down and had the discussion. It can be an awkward and difficult discussion.
It is.
Correct?
It's very awkward, but it's very necessary because first of all, your expectations, the way you see how your parents are living or how your grandparents are living. You know, I asked a few millennials in my office yesterday, you know, if they're worried about inheritance. And the irony is, first of all, they think they're too young. They're worried about job security. They're worried about being able to afford a place to live, how to save. Is there risk out there in the world? And so just having that conversation is, you know, I don't think my parents will leave me anything because they have to worry about Social Security and health care, and I may be taking care of them. So having that first conversation is awkward, but then it gets easy, and we try to facilitate that.
Right, so you say don't be afraid to seek professional help in this case.
Right. There are coaches that work with families, and then there are financial advisors that work with families.
Absolutely.
And some estate attorneys too.
Right, definitely worth having this discussion with your parents sooner rather than later. Thank you, Lori, for that.